his name is Young Jun Lim. He happened to be the roommate of mine back in his college time. So you see how our relationship goes there. And then he has been performing very professionally since a young age, and he also holds many winning prizes in the many US-based competition. Like that includes John and Susie beauty competition for junior and senior division, and he has also won prizes at the Aguero Guitar Club competition, East Carolina University Guitar competition as well. I have all these lists here. If I say this, all of them, the day's gonna go over. So anyway, thankfully he has come all the way to here and to give students masterclass here. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Young Jun Lim to the class.
Awesome. Have a sit. All right. So Ethan, nice to meet you and wonderful playing.
Thank you.
Great. So, how old are you, Ethan?
8.
8. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So let's go from the first one actually. Let's go back to Cecilia, and if you go from the top, I'll stop you whenever I want to talk to you about something very particular, okay? Very good, all right. So I like the energy that you have when you play the guitar. It's actually not very easy to produce a loud sound from the guitar. The guitar is a very quiet instrument, right? And we don't have that much range to play with. So having the ability to be able to play loud is actually very important, and I think you have that. But I feel like with that in mind, I think the ability to be able to play everything else down all the way to extremely quiet is also extremely important, because we have so little range to work with. It's actually more important that we make sure we utilize what's in the middle a lot often in order to make sure that we can convey to the listeners that we're doing a crescendo. What is a crescendo?
Louder.
Louder. Is it just play louder than what you did before, or is it getting louder?
Getting louder.
Getting louder. That's correct. And if you really do that really well, where you're utilizing the middle dynamics a little bit better, then you'll actually give the audience and people who listen the feeling of growing energy together instead of a surprise. Okay? And it's really weird, but a lot of times when people listen to music, we like it if we know what we're listening to. Here's an example. Do you have a music you like to listen to?
I like jazz.
You like jazz. Is there any particular music? Particular title?
No.
No? Okay. But a lot of times, actually me personally, when I find music I really like to listen to, I put it on repeat. I listen to it over and over until I get sick of it. I listen hundreds of times until I really, really cannot listen to it anymore. Because I like to listen to something that I understand and that I can follow along. And that I enjoy doing that. Really. You know, you hear people singing in their cars, singing in their showers, or you hear about that, right? Because they know how the song goes. They sing along because they're happy. So a lot of the listener wants to be more. Listeners do not really like instant surprises with dynamics. They like to be kind of led into it, kind of like you're kind of pulling the listeners in. If you really do that dynamics really well. So let's go from the top. The first energy is actually really nice. So let's do the same thing, but instead, let's see. Dun 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 dun. So we're gonna do a decrescendo. Going into right here. So from here, we're gonna start loud, and then gradually we're gonna do a decrescendo, and then the lowest point is going to be here. That's right. Very good. I can definitely hear a little more. I think you can do more. I like to be more gradual. The more gradual, the better. I still feel like we did more of the decrescendo near the end. One more time. More gradual, okay? Very good. Okay. So, do you know what a phrase is?
No.
No. So in music, we have a thing called phrase. And phrase is essentially like a sentence. When you have a complete sentence, what do you put at the end?
Period?
And what does the period do?
It stops the sentence?
It does. It stops the sentence. That means whatever comes next is what comes next. It's usually, they could refer back to it a little bit, right? But the whole thing is a complete sentence. And in music, we have that too. Even though we don't have words. The first four measures is actually a sentence of its own. And where you ended just now, it's actually where the period goes.
Okay.
You kind of sense that, right? Dan dan da 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 dan dan.
Okay.
Right? So that's why what I like to do is decrescendo here. Okay, like we did earlier. And then you can do a slight slowing down. Just
Okay.
slight. Not too much. Okay, let's try. Ah, that was good. The slowing down was good. But this time, I'm gonna be very picky with you because you're doing very good. Okay? And this time, I feel like you kind of went it down too low, too quick. And
Okay.
then later you ran out of room to go even lower, right?
Mhm.
You felt like that a little bit too, right? So make sure you kind of pace yourself really well so that it's actually very gradual. And actually, I think you can start the decrescendo here.
Okay.
So you can actually be loud in this part of the music, and then you can start decrescendo. So this one's still gonna be loud, okay? And then you're gonna start from here, going down gradually, okay? So
Okay.
maybe even like mezzo piano. You're going down all the way to mezzo piano, not piano or not pianissimo, okay? So remember,
Okay.
it's not that, okay?
Okay.
It's still want people still want to listen to it. So let's try from here one more time. Very good, very good. The dynamic was actually perfect. I think that's just the right amount. You still maintain the energy up to the second measure. Dun, 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 dun. Because you see this F is the highest here, right, in this sentence. So we're maintaining energy up to here, and then you slow down. But slowing down was too much. It felt like you were ending the entire book. So let's try one more time. I'm being very picky. Let's try one more time, but just very small
Okay.
amount, okay? Just so that people can notice, okay? Let's try. Da 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 da. Dun da dun dun da dun dun. I think you can stop slowing down starting here.
Okay.
So you can kind of continue, right? So it's more like, I would say even it's actually not really a period, maybe more like a comma.
Okay.
Okay? One more time. Good. Same thing. Dun, 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 dun. Don't slow down too much. Not too much. It's just very little bit, right? Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Right? It's just very small. It's like a little, just a little bit. You can do the bigger ones when we have either really big section ended or at the end of the song. That's when we can really do that. So very good, very good. All right, let's see. Let's continue. Let's go from, let's actually pick up here, and then let's continue, and I'll stop here. Let's see. All right, very good. All right, so here's a new section, right? And what do you think is more aggressive, the first part or this line you just played?
The first part.
First part, very good. So the second part is actually a little bit more happy, right? Happier and less aggressive. So I want you to also see if you can make it flow a little bit more connected. So less dum da dum dum da 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 da. Think about yourself lying down by the beach, and then the waves are very weak. Okay, imagine that when you play this third line. Let's try it. Not slow necessarily, but just more calm. Okay. All right, now we have a clear we're clearly now presenting. This is angry, aggressive, right? And then this is very calm. Okay? So very good, very good. It's like a journey, isn't it? So another thing I like to do when I have very similar stuff, for example, let's look at this measure, and then the second measure and third measure. Do they start with the same note every time?
Yes.
Yes. So they're pretty similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty similar. And this is the opportunity to play with the audience a little bit. Remember when I told you audience likes to listen to what they know? And usually, if you have this repeat, right? And when you come back to when the listener is actually listening, they can actually kind of expect what's coming because it's a repeat, right? And then it also repeats 3 times, right? Pretty much similar things, right? But that's when you can throw a curveball and surprise the audience just a little bit. It's kind of like when listeners are listening, they're like, oh, that's not what I was quite expecting, right? So there's a little bit of seasoning on top, I would say. So what I'd like to do is, let's try it one more time from here, actually. One more time from there. Very good. All right. So how about this? Let's try starting the first measure, mezzo forte, okay? And then let's go piano.
Okay.
And then you're gonna do mezzo forte again. And then do a crescendo.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yes.
Let's try it. Let's try this better. Loud. Very good. Very good. Very good. But I think you can do more. The loud can be louder and soft can be softer. Okay?
Okay.
Instead of this. Let's try it. Very good. Very good. All right. So, another small cherry on top. This chord, try rolling it. Try rolling this last chord right here. Let's try it. So roll thumb, A, and A. Drum. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can show you what I mean by that. So thumb, I, and A. Very good. Very good. One more time. Very good. And watch out not to touch the 6th string with your palm. That's going to stop it, right? One more time. Very good. Very good. It's hard. It's hard. It's going to take a little practice, right? To make sure everything is even. Nothing like, right? Or right? Da-da-da-da. Okay? Just right. It's always going to be, whenever you do something musically, there's always that point where it's just right.
Okay.
And it's actually very easy to go off from that chart. When you do it just right, it's kind of like makes the listener just go, ah, really, when you do it just right, really. And so yeah, this is just a suggestion. At the end of the day, everything I say, most of the stuff, talk to your teacher with it, I think it can also help you. And a lot of the musical things can be subjective, right? It can be opinion. People say, what is music? What is art, right? Picasso draw a single line and sell that for millions of dollars, right? And some people might look at that and be like, that's not art. I can do that too, right? So there's a lot of opinion when it comes to making a decision where you're doing the crescendo, or where you're rolling the chords, or where you're slowing down. But there is a little bit involved where you actually have to play within the boundaries, even though you're doing something musically. Like I cannot grab my guitar and be like, right? I cannot do that, right? Because it sounds bad, right? But also I can ask the question. I think it sounds good, right? But musical choices is going to be, you have to play within the boundaries and is to know exactly how to execute it so that it sounds good. It's going to be your main goal. So there's a lot of techniques involved as well. So you need to practice it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's continue. All same, right? Same. So let's go from right here. Very good, very good. All right, so I really like this crescendo that you're doing. It's really nice. And also you're making it very relaxing too. It's really nice. But I think you can do more gradual. I feel like it reaches the loudest point, like somewhere here a little bit. It feels like this is where you get loudest, and then from here, you don't have anywhere else to go. Like the music does say crescendo just up to this measure, but I think you can just get a little bit more gradual and make your loudest point somewhere in this measure. And then starting from this measure, come more gradually down. So it will be like, instead of like this, I want it to be more.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's not do, and then you stay at high point and then coming down. I think it's prettier to do.
Okay.
Okay, let's try. That was really good. That was really good. That was really good. It didn't feel like you reached your limit. Okay? You also don't want to show the audience that you're at your limit of the volume. And that you're pushing it even more where your guitar string starts to snap or things like that. You don't want audience to know that. You want to play within your boundaries of the dynamic level you can do. And then you want to make sure, guitar's not loud. Remember I told you that, right? But do you know how you can kind of convey people to listen to it and be like, oh, that's loud? Do you know how you can do that? Even though it's not loud? It's a difficult question.
Don't try too much to make it loud, or else it might make a bad sound.
If you push beyond the loudest you can do, yes, it does make a bad sound. And also, we can actually do the crescendo very gradually, and people will know that you got loud from quiet. What's more important is getting louder, not playing loud. Right? Playing loud is easy. You push as hard as you can, and you get the best, loudest sound we can get, right? But even playing fast and slow, even if here's someone's actually an old really famous actually. I think heard from a guitarist named Sergio Assad. He's actually a very famous Brazilian guitarist, and he can play really fast. He's like a highway, his guitar, okay? And he actually once said, if you can't play a scale really fast, you start slow, and then you accelerate. Da 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 da. Instead of da 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 da. Instead of that, da 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 da. And he said also, play it in a way where you'll get to your fastest, like how fastest you can go will be the highest point. Don't push more, because you can't, then you shouldn't, right? So that the audience don't even know how fast you can actually go. And people get this feeling of accelerating feeling, right? So it's actually really important. It's not just about da, 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 trying to play as fast as you can and then you impress the audience. Sometimes you gotta do it, you gotta kind of trick them. It's like a magic trick. You gotta give them then you gotta convince them that you can do the things that may not really be what you can, like the speed, right? If you can't play any faster, you shouldn't try to go faster or anything like that. Same with the dynamics. You should not really try to stay loudest for too long. It feels like then you're at your limit, like at the edge of a hill, right? You want to make sure you have more room to play with. All right, and also, like you said, you told me playing loud, when you keep pushing, it says it doesn't sound good. You told me that just now, right? What sound do you get when you play louder than loud? Like loud as you can go. You push more than that.
I get a twangy sound.
Twangy sound. Very good. Let's try this. Actually, just beginning one more time. And let's try our best to not get the twangy sound. Because sometimes I feel like kind of got excited, and then things got a little over the twangy sound part, right? One more time. Oh, that's a twangy sound, right? One more time. Very good. That sounded really good. I don't know. The missing one twangy sound and that one high note actually changed everything for me, actually. It sounded really good, okay? So always watch out and know your limit in terms of the volume. It's different. Your guitar and my guitar is different volume, right? So it's all different, but what's important is that you know how to control your own guitar's volume and know when you are at your limit. Okay, and make sure you try to play with something in the middle a lot more too, because I feel like we were up here for a while when you first played for me, and sometimes you were trying to push a little more, and then we got the twangy sound, right? Okay, very good. Okay, let's go to the second piece. Let's go to the second piece. Didn't talk enough about the first one. All right, let's go from here, from the beat. Good. I'll stop you right there. Very good. Very good. Slurs are tricky, isn't it? Okay. Like, are we like really close, or can I go like 2-3 more minutes? Can I go a little bit over, or is it like?
I think you have like a.
Oh, 5 minutes? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Very good. All right. So, slurs are very tricky, isn't it? So, let's go. Let's actually try here from 5. Dun, 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 dun. One more time. Very good, very good. Don't be too tense. Okay? When our fingers are tense, we can't move it well.
On those parts, when it gets harder, I like to go slower.
Yeah, when it gets harder, it's really important you practice slower. Do you know why when it's hard, it's important to practice slower?
Because if you keep on practicing it faster, you're going to keep on getting it wrong over and over and over again.
Yes, you get into the habit of playing wrong notes, or you mess up, right? But I think the most important part about practicing slow when you get a difficult part is because you want to get your muscle used to playing easy. When you play something hard at a full speed without practicing slow, it gets very tense, right?
Yes.
Your fingers start to like grab stuff a little harder, and it starts to hurt here. You know, everything just kind of doesn't move that well. You can't command it well. Everything. When you're tense, it just doesn't work. That's how our bodies work. And you know, music teachers everywhere will just say, just relax. You know, just you know, relax and you'll be good. You know, if it's difficult, relax. They always say that. They always relax your hand, relax your body, everything. But that's the truth. When our body's tense, we can't do it. Especially moving our very small muscles very quickly, and to play something even more difficult when we're tense, No way. So how do you get used to playing difficult part easier? You go slow. Then everything becomes easier, right? So now you're training your muscle, our muscle. Okay, we're training our muscle. Get used to this feeling of playing easily. And you do that over and over and over, and your muscle actually get used to this feeling of playing this difficult thing slowly. Okay, and then when you bring this up slowly by slowly, you get it up to tempo. And then when you get there, you actually realize you can actually be relaxed while playing a difficult part fast. It's actually incredible. You actually have to try it really hard in order to actually find out that actually works a lot of the times. So yeah, so when you're doing the slur here, I feel like you're grabbing it a little bit. Because, I think, one more time, let's try from here one more time. Very good, relax, one more time. Very good. That looked really relaxed. It's not how hard you pull that's gonna make the sound. It's just the motion going down. That's all you need actually. Yeah, it's just the motion of pulling the string. It's not how hard you pull it. It's not how hard you grab it from the first place. It's actually just, you can be completely, but yeah, still makes sound, right? Very good sound too. One more time. One more time. Your pinky can relax, but your second finger should definitely hold on to its place, right? Very good. If your middle finger is also very relaxed, then what happens when you pull, this finger comes down with it. So you have to make sure this one definitely stays there. Because this one's easy to control, right? It's this one, but just relax this. It's not a big deal. It's actually, I think when we come across a difficult part in our music, we tend to freak out. When you go perform, and you've been practicing this difficult part at your home for hours and hours, and then you play it at a concert, as soon as you come to that part, your mind just kind of keep telling yourself, oh boy, here it comes, let's see if I can do it. In this one time, in this sitting, I have no redos. This is the concert day, right? People are watching. And it's actually quite difficult to play in front of people, the difficult things. So you have to train yourself even more, playing relaxed. And when things get difficult, there's actually always a way out to do it easier. And a lot of times it's going to be slow practice. It's fun to just grab your guitar and just go play anything you want to play at full speed you can play, right? Be honest with me, how do you practice at home?
I practice sometimes. Most of the time I practice fast while my mom's not watching me, and then when my mom's watching me, actually practice.
Thank you for being honest. But yeah, I like to go fast too. Same. You can ask Young Jun. I always like to go fast. And I think everyone who plays an instrument likes to play music at the normal speed that it's supposed to go at. It's more fun. You enjoy listening to yourself too. So, but practice is different. Playing and practice, they're two different things. I want you to practice, not play. Playing is when you play in front of people and when you're trying to play yourself, right? But practice is also very important, where you have to make sure you're doing things slowly when it's difficult, and really figuring it out when things doesn't work. Like this one, I feel like this always kind of gets you all the time, doesn't it? Right? Then you want to sit down and practice this and realize what you have to do in order to fix that. And a lot of times it's gonna have to be slow. And just make sure you are fully in control of your fingers. Okay? Awesome. So I'm gonna have to stop us here, but very good. Very good. It was a pleasure. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
No? Awesome. quite a difficult piece.
Yeah, a little.
All right. So before I start, I want to ask you this question. What do you want to do with the guitar in the future?
I'm not. Hopefully, I'll be able to go to a conservatory or something like that, and
Okay.
yeah, become, like professional.
Professional. So you want to be a guitarist?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. That kind of gives me more idea of what I can do in terms of working with you. Okay. So first, how is your hand feeling? Your left hand.
It's good. It's warmed up, I guess.
It's warmed up. It's not hurting anything. It's not
Nope,
tense.
it's not tense. No.
Okay. Alright. The reason I was asking you is because, people hold guitar a little bit differently, everyone. And I feel like your guitar is a little on the higher side for sure. Usually what I like to kind of think of as standard is like keeping my eye level at the top of the guitar. But right now for you, it's kind of like at the head level actually, I think. And everyone does have different ways to play, but sometimes if you try it, you might find yourself actually liking it a lot better and a lot easier on the left hand as well. Just something to kind of tweak around. I'd be messing around with my playing posture all the time. Even now, I kind of try to figure out if there's something I can do better. But so just keep that in mind. All right, let's go from the top. Musical. I like the dynamics you're doing. You definitely have a very good sense of how you want this music to sound, and that you're hearing it yourself too. It's very good. What do you think is more important, the bass, the top?
The melody.
What's the melody then? Okay. Yes, that's actually pretty important. But how many times do we repeat that?
3 times.
3 times. And how about this? Take a look at the bass. Play this one. And then. It's like a melody of its own, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I want you to make sure, even if you're playing with the dynamics, I want you to also keep thinking about it, the fact that there's actually 2 important things that is happening simultaneously. So you cannot forget. Sometimes I feel like you play the bass too quiet, which I understand because the crescendo happens, so you gotta start quietly from the beginning of the crescendo. Yes, I agree. But you also want to still have some clarity to make sure you're showing what's special about this first part. Okay? Because the top part, yes, it's interesting in the beginning, but it actually stays the same the whole time, doesn't it? What changes is the bass. Okay, I don't want to go crazy at the bass, but see if you can make it a little more conveyable. Okay, one more time. Good. That was beautiful. It's really everything. Bach is really. Do you like Bach?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's complicated music. So
It is very complicated music. Do you know why it makes it so complicated?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? I mean, first and foremost, there's not much places that it stops, right?
Yeah.
Rock music, a lot of times you find yourself kind of like no place to rest. So that makes it technically difficult. Imagine playing this with a flute.
Yeah.
Where do you breathe?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a very incredibly technically difficult, but another factor is that he makes everything so special that you cannot dismiss anything in his music. In a lot of music, like for example, if I play you this music, what's more important here?
The melody.
Of course, the top line, right? Da, 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 right? Not right? But Bach is different. It's not just the bass. It's not just an accompaniment. It's really interesting, isn't it? Now you kind of think about every bass that happens in this music and listen to it on its own, and it's gonna feel really special because it's a melody of his own, it's alive. So while keeping that in mind, let's continue.
So from the first measure, or?
You can actually go from the first measure, we'll go from there. So, a lot of times we have these really fast 16th note that doesn't stop at all, right? And I feel like we can do a little bit more in terms of making sure the notes are more connected together. It's right here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, you know, you hear the same thing as your teacher say, right? And you know, when you hear the same thing that your old teacher says, or your new teacher, or your current teacher, or your Masterclass teacher, when they tell you the same thing,
Yeah.
it's actually very important. And that's what I think you should really focus on a lot of times, is that whenever we have these 16th note, I feel like it's sounding, I'm just exaggerating, okay? You're not
Yeah.
really sounding like this. Exaggerated, okay?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure. Right? So one way that you can connect notes. What do you think is one way you can connect notes? What can we possibly do to make them connected?
I can hold it down for longer,
All the
for
time.
the full like length of the beat.
Mhm. Very good, yeah. And what else can you also do?
I guess like slurs.
Slur
Yeah,
helps.
that's-
We don't want to play slur everywhere, right? There's a right place for that. So you said left hand, very good. The fact that we don't let go too early. Another thing you also want to make sure you're watching out for is making sure you don't touch it
Oh yeah.
again too quick. What happens?
Yeah.
It's good to practice plenty. It's really important actually. You know, when you try to go practice a scale to go really fast, you actually go. You kind of practice like that actually. But when you're performing and you're playing music like this, you don't want to sound like that. It should be a practice method, not a performance sound for sure. So yeah, let's try it one more time, and let's try to make sure we keep those both of things in mind. Let's go from dum, da 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 da. Very good. One more time. One more time. Sorry. I think what you said earlier is right. I think your left hand is letting go of the notes a little too quick. Okay, a little too quick. Let me tell you this. You actually have a lot of time. A lot more than you think. Okay?
Yep.
And try to force yourself to not move too quick to the next notes because you have time. It's okay if you mess up. So while keeping that in mind, let's try that. Already much better. Like that. A lot of time. Very good. I'll stop you right there. Perfect. It sounds 1,000 times better. Just making sure that you're keeping that in mind. Don't go back to your old habits.
Yeah.
Okay, because you show me you can do it. You have to change now, okay? Because you have the technique and you know what to do. You know what to do. Okay, don't push that to the side when you're practicing. You remember when I said to the previous student the difference of practicing and playing?
Yep.
Actually very important, especially because you're going to music school or you're playing too. That's gonna matter a lot. Guitar's fun. It
Yeah.
can be really fun. Okay. But practicing, I hate practicing. And I know friends who did music majors. They also hate practicing. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's work. You can have anything you love to do, and when you go into it and you try to actually do work and try to improve at it, that's actually not fun. That's how it is. It's going to be how when you go to college in anything. You know, you have passion for music or art, like drawing, and you go there, and you will actually hate doing art sometimes because it's so much work and so much things to practice and get better at, right? So you have to make sure when you sit down with your guitar, you have problems in your hand, and you try to find the solution for it, and you practice by the solution. That's actually really, it's problem solving, it's like puzzle, okay? If you find yourself sitting there with the guitar and just playing over and over, that's not practicing. It's not practicing. You have to improve. And playing over and over will only get you up to 80% at most. And guess what happens? You hit a wall. You'll find yourself not able to go beyond the 80%. And you'll get frustrated. Every time you play, is there a spot in this music that is always inconsistent every time you play? Sometimes you nail it, sometimes you don't. Is there places in this music?
Yeah, probably like when it gets to the third page.
Yeah, there's always those kind of spots when I'm playing music. And those are usually caused, a lot of times it can be prevented, actually. A lot of times by very dedicated practice and making sure you're solving problems. If it's not working out, you gotta fix it. Instead of, it's not because you didn't practice enough. People think that. They think things are not working after they practice a lot and they think, oh, I need to practice more, that section, and they do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, thinking that's working. But at a certain point, you have to realize it's not working.
Yeah.
And it won't work the more you practice, it's not gonna change. You gotta make sure you figure that out. And I feel like the connecting notes, that's actually really important. Really, really important. I think just fixing that alone, I feel like it's gonna make so much difference. Really. Let's continue actually. Let's go from here. Relax. You have time. Alright, very good. Very good. Everything's actually so much better than the first time I heard you. Actually, just instantly that much better. So really pay attention to that. And then, even the slur, I feel like you nailed this time. Yeah, because you're relaxed and you know you have time. And you keep reminding yourself that. Actually, everything works out so much better for you. Okay, let's go from here. Alright, very good. I think on this first page, which measure do you think is the most intense? Has the most energy?
It'd be that measure. Yeah.
Going on to that measure, right? Why do you think it's more active than
Because it's high up.
high up? There's one more factor.
The bass is 8 notes instead of just.
Bass is picking up. They're picking up, and you know, before it was never like that actually. And also, it doesn't happen quite often, does it?
Yeah.
Right? So this is a special measure, so you want to make sure you keep that intensity. Let's try that. Slow down, slow down. You have time. louder. The E was a little bit underwhelming at the arrival. A little less than that. One more time. So very good. Very good. This kind of stuff really makes the listener happy, actually. Okay, that makes the difference of it's what it makes you special, actually, from everyone else who plays this music. Because you're the one who's deciding how much to put into that intensity, the mood of the music, the crescendo, everything, the color, everything is all up to you, right? And no matter how much everyone tries to do exactly the same, it's not gonna always turn out exactly the same, okay? But that's what makes it special. That's what makes your music special. So I think you definitely can. I saw you are able to do it.
Yeah.
So very good. Make sure you keep bigger energy here, okay? All right. Okay. And even set mezzo forte here, right?
Yeah.
I think if putting mezzo forte doesn't help you keep that intensity, maybe you should actually think about it in forte, right?
And then when the melody line comes in, that should be the mezzo forte.
Not quite actually. Just the E arrival will be loud, and then it's not going to be quiet, but it'll be kind of in the middle dynamic. Boom, da, da, da. Very good. Relax, relax. Time. One more here.
Yeah.
So same thing here. The bass is becoming active, right? But the problem with this part, it's also technically difficult. And to play that in a way where you're playing well at the same time to make it have the intensity, you need a lot of control with that measure, right? So again, be honest with me. How much slow practice do you do?
Not that much, I guess.
Thank you for being honest. And I feel like that could also be a big cause of why we're having connecting note issue. Because when we play slow, you actually have to actively take it off to make it short, right? And you're not going to do that, right? When you're playing slow. And I feel like the habit of cutting notes can actually come from that too. And also, whenever you come to a difficult spot, I feel like you're hiding a little bit. I feel like you're shrinking. Yeah. You're afraid to make the mistake because it's difficult. And that's causing an issue because now then we can't. It's like when you're speaking in front of people, you're going to be when you're having a presentation, right, in front of a large audience, you have to make sure everything is heard and everything is very clarified, right? It has to have nice points, right? Same thing here. It feels like you're kind of going around like a circle, don't know exactly where you're going yourself. Then the listener cannot follow you if that's the case. You have to clearly show you're going there, and you gotta lead all the listeners with you. So, let's try this. Everyone's nightmare. Let's try this tempo. Let's go from here. Do you think you can go from here? If not, you can go from another.
Yeah, I'll go from
that easy or hard?
That was difficult. That was hard.
It's really weird, right?
Yeah.
We're playing slower, but it's more difficult. And here's what my old professor used to say, and it really changed me how I play, is that you can't play slow, you can't play fast. It's very obvious, right? But when you just said this, it just made me realize that how much slow practice is actually important, because if you can't even play slow accurately, how on earth are we going to play that difficult section fast? Never gonna happen. It's always gonna feel like you hit it or not. Always gonna feel, it's like a coin flip. Every time you get to a section, it's like, yeah. So make sure when you have a difficult section, you do it slowly with metronome. You know why you do it slowly though? And there's actually a lot of advantage of playing slowly, but there's some stuff that I find really important about slow playing. So what do you think is an advantage
You
of
can
playing?
take the time to make sure you have the right technique and the right fingering, and the right like tone color.
Mhm. It's also you. Our muscle can go faster than we can think. That's a fact. Okay? Because our muscle don't have a brain of its own. They don't think about decision making or anything. Okay? I used to have this really bad habit of shaking my leg, and in my country I'll get in trouble for that. When I was young, I did this in front of adults, and I'll get in trouble from my parents. But I can't help it kept moving.
Yeah.
And habit is really like that, and muscle is actually that unreliable. When you go fast, especially without going slow beforehand, especially when it comes to the difficult part, your muscle starts to go on its own. It's like an auto drive on its own. And your brain kind of shuts down, because your brain can't follow it, because you're not even used to it. And with our head, we actually need a lot more time of setting things in the ground slowly. So that's why playing slowly will help your brain to communicate better with your finger. Do you know what happens if you can communicate really well with your finger?
You can play without thinking too much about it.
No. If you do that, that's kind of like shutting down your brain. You're letting your muscles do whatever they need to do, right?
Yeah.
It's actually more like if you get used to telling your fingers what to do and your fingers doing it, you get more control. Wouldn't it be nice if you can control everything perfectly the way you want it to?
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need your brain to tell your fingers what to do before your fingers do it. That's why we go slow, because that process cannot happen quickly in the beginning. But as you keep pressing slow and slow, and the time you need for your brain to communicate with your fingers gets shorter and shorter and shorter, very slowly, shorter and shorter, to a point where you can actually play where you were actually playing before, same speed, but your brain will actually follow everything and will actually be able to do everything you need to do. It's really weird, actually. It's really hard to explain without you actually trying it, and I really recommend you trying it. Take a small section that's really difficult and set yourself a goal of doing really painfully slow. Like, I mean really painfully slow. It's like a challenge to you.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually not even slow, I would say. I did this because if I put any slower, you're actually going to have a lot harder time. Let's try this. Da 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 da. Let's speed up. Da 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 da. Right, you're making more mistakes than when you're playing fast, and that's really weird. And it's because you're not used to communicating with your thinking, and there's missing communication here, and that's really important. Another really important reason is I also used to do this a lot. I used to play music with my eyes closed. I thought I was being very artistic, right?
Yeah.
But when I did that, when I was performing in front of people, and when I was doing this and playing, and one time I opened my eyes, and I saw my guitar, and everything went black, just completely white. my finger froze, and I just stopped playing. That's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary because my brain was completely not following what my finger was doing if I did that. I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
don't go, like that, but you need to practice in a way where you're in control of it, not your muscles. It's a very big difference. And so I actually had to close my eyes to play the piece successfully. If I open my eyes, I'll fail. And that's how far you can go with your muscle memory, but it's very unreliable too. Muscle is very unreliable. It does not think on its own. It does not. And also, here's another thing. When you're about to drop something, it's like dropping it from here to here. If you drop the glass of water by accident, okay? Do you drop it out of your hand and do you go like that or like that?
Yeah, like that.
Right? So our muscle is actually trained in a way where it's instinct. Our muscle moves really well that pinch spot. Okay? But that's not what you want to rely on when you're playing your instrument. Okay? So let's go. And you know your problem spots, right? It's obviously here.
It's like whenever the bass goes.
When the bass goes crazy, right? Very good. Again and again, in Bach, bass is not less important. So even if you have low dynamics, you want to make sure the top and the both voices are being heard. So they both have to be equally quiet or equally loud. You cannot play the bass quieter and this one louder. Maybe if you're playing a fugue. Do you know what a fugue is? Bach wrote this another kind of type of music where a new melody comes out in different voices. So you have to make sure that is being heard because that is actually a very important part of a fugue. Where there's like an entrance of a new melody, comes out another melody. The melody moves around. It's like they're like hiding there. But for this kind of music, it's very clear. Top and the bottom a lot of times, right? With this kind of Bach music, and you want to make sure they're both equally important. Sometimes it's fun to just play the bass too and listen to what's happening. It's actually incredible what he's doing with the bass lines. Okay, do you have any questions for me?
Not really.
Awesome, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure
thank
hearing you play. And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
With your future studies, yeah. Awesome. Such a beautiful piece. Have you listened to the other ones as well, or
I have, but not very often.
not very often? I guess the 2 and 3 is the more notable work that he created. So, let's see. Since you're also older, I want to ask you the same question. What are you trying to get out of when you're doing the guitar? Like, is it something you want to make sure you just have fun with it in the future? You know,
Yeah, so I love guitar, but I love math more.
Mhm.
So I'm not looking to make it my job, but I do really enjoy it, and
You do really
I want to
enjoy
be
it.
better in the future.
Very good. Very good. So you want to take it seriously, and you really like it, and something's going to be your lifetime friend, right? Very good. Very good. I think that's also what my parents wished. There's always double major. But yes, yeah, if you want, you can take guitar seriously. Like, there is actually double major. I know a friend who went to Peabody for guitar, and then he did neuroscience at Johns Hopkins at the same time. So he was a guitarist and neurosurgeon. Imagine that, right? But you know, that's not easy for sure. But you know, if you really love the guitar, you know, that's definitely another thing. All right, very good, very good. You played very well. This music. Okay, let's go. Let's go from the top one more time. Very good, very good. I like the dynamics you're doing, especially da 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 da. That's actually coming out really well. I really like that actually, and it's not easy to do. And one thing I want to actually tell you to watch out for is going to be the rest stroke that you're putting in in certain notes. And although they can be used to your advantage a lot of times, I feel like sometimes it's like I'm listening to beautiful music, and it's like someone like. Like someone's just like, it's like, I feel like it's a little bit too surprising.
Okay.
Like I feel like it's popping out too much. It's either you can try toning that down a little bit, or since you have, it's really weird. If you hear the music the way you want it to be played, it kind of naturally also comes out a little bit. So you don't have to make extremely so much effort as far as going into even a rest stroke on top of all this free stroke you have. Let's try without the rest stroke. Let's try without the rest stroke. One more time. You can be louder with free stroke. Try louder with free stroke. Very good. You know, it's really weird. I actually heard da 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 da. I actually heard that even if you're doing free stroke instead of da 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 da, right? So yeah, see if you can use free stroke. I think you can have a lot more control. And I saw you do it again. So I always tell my students, I saw it. So yeah, you're very capable. So make sure practice a little bit more control with the free stroke. Okay. Everything else actually sounding pretty good. Let's continue. Let's go from beginning actually, and then continue. Let's go from here. Da, 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 da. So you're playing all that in the second string, huh? Can't read this music. It's very hard to read. Okay. So you do 4 and 3 slur?
Yeah.
That's a risky slur on the second string too. Is there any particular reason, or is it just following the fingering steps?
I mean, what it gives me is that it's just like slightly beyond what's natural, and so
I don't see any problem with that. Let's try going to the first string.
okay.
One more time. Ah, so it's,
I guess I
just-
can hold the E easier if I do it up here, but I kind of like the trill better on the first string, so.
I think also there's not much wrong with cutting the E short actually.
Okay.
Yes.
That works.
That's like the melody, right? Like together if you think about it, instead of, I mean, yeah, that's important because that's the highest point, you're right? But it's kind of like, right? I think that actually sounds fine, and I
Okay.
feel like it's opinion again. You can choose to do it up here. But I feel like the fourth finger to third finger is kind of coming out a little bit too mushy.
And normally I like to play higher frets,
Ah.
but I think with this piece, because the rest of it is very forceful, I think it fits better to play on the first string.
Yeah, I think first string is going to be better. Personal opinion too here. Also, it's better control, right? If you can play, better, I think the slurs are very difficult. And it's honestly, like you said, it's either being up here, so you don't have to jump,
Right.
versus the difficult slur to do. And a lot of times we're given this challenge on the guitar. Like, guitar is very funny because we can play same notes in different frets, and we play a lot of the middle voices, bass lines at the same time, and it ends up becoming a puzzle of its own. And sometimes you're given with 2 bad choices, and you have to pick your poison. You have to pick your poison, and this is the exact situation. It's either you have that nasty slur on the second string, or you do that jump. Okay, and you're going to be the best judge of what is going to be a better poison. But a lot of times, if technically they're like similar difficulty, I will definitely try to think about more musically, especially in that sense, right? Okay,
Okay.
and you have big hands. This stretch, you can actually get ready for it too. Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
go like a big jump. Yeah, you can kind of do a small jump.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, it's actually okay to do that. Okay, let's continue. Dun, da, 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 without the repeat. One more time. Let's go from here one more time. One more time. Okay, very good. So the dum 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 is tricky, right? So
Could you like, I guess maybe play M A M at the top? I don't know. Actually, I don't like that very much.
MA at the top.
Yeah, because what's really tripping me up is all of the thumbs. So, but then no, that I could play an I, but that's kind of unnatural. I don't know. I might just stick with it.
So again, it's the same situation. We have to have a bad fingering somewhere, and it's either you're going to have it first in the beginning or later. So if you do the finger that you said, where you're gonna use something like, right, something like that, right? Just like that. But then you have to move your hand, so that's another difficulty that gives you, right? So when you have to think about changing your fingering, and one of the options actually has thumb repetition. It's actually quite good to go with the thumb repetition also, because primary finger, right?
Yeah.
And so it's easier to control the basis actually with your thumb versus changing your entire hand to change the string.
The other thing is that that's better than my other idea, but if you did P, I, P, and M.
P-I-P-I?
Yeah. I don't know. I think the P melody is better.
I think that can also work. It's just, again, same thing, right? Picking your poison. And there's definitely different challenge that involves in order to achieve the good sound with certain ways. And this way is going to be making sure that you execute that bad crossing really well. P-I-P. Right? So you have to practice that a lot and making sure you nail it every time. Okay? If you want to go that route. But try thumb actually. 3 thumb is actually not too bad actually. One more time. Let's just start 3 thumb. Is your thumb? You guys see your thumb? Okay. Try using a little bit more nail. I think something about your thumb right now. I feel like we're missing a couple thumb notes a lot of times. Like I actually thought you, from this angle, just from listening, I thought you actually broke your thumbnail. Because sometimes it wasn't coming out that well. And I feel like you're using your flesh sometimes instead of your nail. Is that true? Sometimes you kind of
I think what I need to, I'm not on top of the strings enough,
with the nail,
and that's
right?
causing me to come from the side and not hit the nail.
Yeah, you can come from side, but if you want to come from side, you should see. Look at my nail actually. You see where it's touching the string? It's very small. My nails are really long, but the actual portion that I use is actually very little. So, see if you can grow it out just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be necessarily longer, but make sure you have a round inner side so you can make sure you get a better grip on the bass. Because when you do it, you actually nail it, I feel like. Right now it's at a very awkward spot right now. It's at a very awkward spot. See if you can grow it out just a little bit more and see how that works for you. And if that dum 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 doesn't work, then you can try P-I and then P-I-M-A. That works too. When you're doing dum dum dum, you try to get that. It's like this, da 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 da, right? So your thumb has to come back up. Let's go really slowly. Pluck down, go back up. Go back up. Good. Yeah. Instead of trying to keep it as still as possible, I think moving more actually might help in this case scenario to clarify your motion. It's like, have you ever strummed chords?
Yeah, but
not too much.
Not with my thumb though.
No, your thumb. Okay. But when you're strumming, you actually always want to move your hand up and down, up and down. Even if you're going to play something, you always want to move. And the big reason is to make sure you, number one, keep in rhythm, right? You're a rhythm guitar when you're doing this, right? And also, when you keep moving your hand and you kind of get used to moving your hand constantly, you take out certain places and it'll create that kind of rhythm. But your motion of hand moving is the same thing. So later you get to actually able to play many different rhythms easily with just moving your hand like this. Everything will just come out, all sorts of different rhythm, because all you're doing is moving your head every 16th or 8th note, right? And then you're just essentially not strumming in a certain spots to make this special strumming pattern, right? It's the same thing with the thumb. Get used to coming down on the beat. Okay, that means you have to go up before the beat, right? So if you kind of try to work everything in this little spot, it's actually more difficult than sometimes just clarifying the movement. You get used to okay. So that's one way to practice the thumb thumb thumb. And trust me, the thumb 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 is gonna come out again.
Okay.
It will come out again in another
Yeah.
music. It does happen a lot. So it's also a good thing to practice.
Okay.
I think they both work, but I think you can stick to thumb and you can make it work. You just have to make sure you're doing that motion better. And maybe a little longer thumbnail. Okay. So actually, I want to talk more about the second piece. So before we run out of time, let's go to the second one. Actually, this one is actually overall pretty good, I think. But you know, the technical difficulty of these beats, right? It's very difficult. So let's go from the top. This is the tricky part, right? And actually, the composer says something here to help us out a little bit. He has a rest that comes right after the top note. And then that means you can cut this note really short, which means as soon as you play the top note, you can actually let go of your entire bar.
Okay.
Let's try that. So as soon as you hear that, you can let go. One more time. Much better, a lot cleaner. It's also a mental fight.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to tell yourself that too. And that means you have to practice telling yourself that until you get used to that. And that's it, okay? And this is another thing a lot of people really forget. You have to take off first before you move, and then push down. If you're down here, then if you don't take off first and instead try to move a little bit and then kind of let go as you're moving, that creates a lot of tension. So much tension. Like it makes playing so much harder, especially when you're jumping bars. Okay. That's really important. Really, tell your brain actually, just let go, move, and then press. Let's do this really slowly with that in mind. You can even just literally not play this in rhythm. I want you to do this taking off bar first completely, move, and then press 3 motions. Let's try it. And then take off. Take off. There you go. Just release, move, press. Okay? And once you get better at that, you can probably take it off a lot quicker and be a lot agile about this. And that also helps actually to bring out the top melody. There's multiple ways to make a note come out more than the other. What do you think one way is?
You can play it louder.
Yes.
And you can play it staccato.
Staccato. Yeah. You can also accent, right? Accent is like making that louder than other notes. Staccato, right? So making it short actually naturally brings that out really well. It makes it really fun too. So really practice this bar is really important.
Okay.
I feel like sometimes you're kind of dragging a little bit the bar.
Yeah.
And I don't think you were too consciously thinking about taking it off immediately as soon as you play the highest note. Okay? Let's continue. Yeah, go from here and then let's continue. Same thing here, right? Have to let go. Have to let go. Let's see. The beginning. I feel like the slur is getting me.
I think my problem is I'm not hitting it square.
Okay.
You know, because if I hit it straight, then it comes off well.
Yeah. So this is another really funny. Not funny actually. It's a fear that all guitarists have when they're doing slur that are not on the first string. We think we're gonna touch other string. Try doing slur. Let's do a very simple slur on the first string actually. Let's do this. You have no fear of touching any other string, right? Zero problem, okay? But when we go to second string and third string, people start to avoid the first string. But guess what?
Okay.
No, ignore the first string. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just go straight down. Go straight down. This way. Not this way to avoid the first string. You'd be surprised how hard it is to actually make the adjacent string pop out by accident when you're doing slur on the second string. It's actually quite difficult. And also, in this case scenario, guess what's helping out? Look. What am I doing with my first finger? I'm not doing a bar, but even without doing a bar,
just a little.
it just ends up touching a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's another safety right there. So don't worry. I feel like you're doing this little bit more awake motion. Just come down. That's right. There you go. Just go down. And relax. When you're going down, it's just a motion. There you go. It's just a motion. You don't have to like. It's not a note where you have to pay extra effort and put extra force. No, it's just going down. Very light. Okay. Very important. Make sure you think about that in your practicing because it's going to help the way you think about it. It's really important. Okay? Even if you go down and touch it. Do you hear my first string that much? I mean, you hear it a little bit, but yeah, it's not going to bother people. Okay. Let's go here. Oh, is that really what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Try one more time. One more time. Can you go one further?
Wait, is that?
Go one further. With the same pace. Just checking. Go one further. Okay. But you have very big hands actually. So,
I
feel
believe
like-
when I've heard it, it's always been.
Okay. Means we have to stick to that, huh? Okay. Let's go to the major. Here again, it feels like da 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 da. I mean da 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 da. Okay, there is an accent there. We're kind of leaning towards that note that we arrived at, da 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 da, right? And you want to make sure you do that, but you don't want to be da 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 da, right? That's right. Very good. All right. Is there a particular reason you're playing the second section slower than the first section?
I think it sounds, and it used to be even worse, but I think I just it wants to be slow for me, and the first part wants to be fast, and I think the solution is to speed up the second part till it's very close, but maybe not exactly the same.
I'll tell you my personal opinion, okay? I think the harmony this composer put in there already makes it feel relaxed and slow, even if it's not very slower.
Okay.
Actually, so you want to try this a little faster? Let's try. All right, sorry. What do you guys think? Doesn't it feel still relaxed? Still very relaxing. Right? So make sure, this again, personal opinion, but if you heard the same thing from your teacher as well, it might actually worth thinking about a little bit as well. Okay? Very good, very good. And you can play it faster. I just want to check if technically maybe you're having an issue or anything like that as well. Also this one.
Yes. And I was learning.
There's many different ways to do this, right?
And this slur just, it doesn't sound right.
Doesn't sound right.
But I can't get it.
This is a
Natural
very
speed
difficult
with-
skill. Right?
Yeah.
But let's compromise. Let's compromise. Right. How about making the second string slur, but first the last three notes, plop, plop, plop. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, da 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 da.
And then would you do IMA?
Yeah, M-I-M actually, because you start with I, right? Slur, I, then.
Yeah.
So I, then slur, I, slur, then M-I-M.
Or MI, it's a little weird.
So what's important
Mhm.
is that we give the audience the sound we want to, and I feel like when there's MI, and also in a lot of recordings I listen to actually, they actually go da 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 da. It's very clarified, da 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 da, right? And in order to give that kind of sound, you don't want to put the slur later.
Okay.
It's not gonna work that way.
Okay.
And you know, MI is really hard. So like I said, we're compromising. So we're going to slur on the first one, right? Actually, there's a. I don't think you should do 2/4, to be honest.
Okay.
I think you can do 1/3. 1/3.
Or
1/3.
yeah. And
Just use fourth finger at the right.
yes, and then my next. Oh, so the whole thing I don't.
Yeah, 1/3 and then
Yeah.
1/4.
But even before I could play
Yeah.
the 5/7.
Yeah, so I think you'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure that you have to remember they're both on the same fret. Okay. So. Okay. There you go. There you go. You have to practice a little bit, right?
Right.
And I feel like I said, if you want to play this a little bit faster than just like the first part,
Mhm.
this part's gonna become harder.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was still giving us trouble when we were playing slow. That's when we sit down and say we have a problem. Okay, you practiced this many hours, okay, but it's not working out, and there's always a solution. Try slur in the beginning.
Okay.
And then plop, plop, plop. Because the
Alright.
short burst, the shorter the burst of speed is,
It's easier.
it's actually a lot easier because you can kind of go dum-dum, dum-dum, like a feather light. The sustained speed is actually incredibly difficult. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, just try that. Yeah, and I think I have to wrap us up here because we're kind of going out of time. Great job.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure listening to you play.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Young Jun, for your wonderful masterclass. Before we wrap up, is there any questions that any of you would like to ask him about the
Can be any questions.
guitar related?
Well, if it wasn't pandemic right now, would you be touring? Is that what you normally do, or what are you doing now?
I'm teaching mostly, to be honest. I think it's also quite difficult to get a performing career going, no matter how much hours you practice into, because it's like Olympic when you do music. no matter how much you love your sports and you work really hard, can you actually go to Olympic? How many people can go to Olympic, right? That's another big reason that, if there's students who actually majors into guitar, thinking about teaching is actually a very important part of music as well, because it's gonna be how you get more steady income as well, right? As a musician, right? You can't just kind of find yourself like touring around the world like as soon as you're out of college. It's actually quite difficult unless you are the best, right? Out of the best. So that's something that a lot of musicians want to think about too down the road.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, if not, I'll just ask you one thing. So today, there are actually many prospective musicians who will be performing a lot in Extreme actually. And obviously, every concert we feel is a very unusual experience for all of us. Do you have any I'm not sure, like mental preparation or mindset before you play concert or something?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I like to tell myself when I'm performing in front of people, any small or big, any amount of people, it's very nervous. It's extremely nervous to do that in front of people. And I think what I do is usually I try to, when I'm practicing, right, and then usually at the end of my practice session, I'll do what I call like to the run through. I just go from beginning to the end. But during that run through, I actually like to imagine myself in front of 100,000 people. In a giant hall, like Carnegie Hall, like huge, okay? And then I close my eyes and imagine that, and then I start playing. But when I'm on stage, I do the complete opposite. I sit down, close my eyes. It's my bedroom, I did this many times. I've played this many times too, right? Right? It's not a big deal. It's not the end of anything, right? And people are here to enjoy listening to your music. So you want to make sure you're not freaking out. Everyone is here to have fun, right? Including yourself. That's what I really try to get myself to really, really focus on making sure that I don't consciously think about people are watching me and they're trying to find my mistakes. No, people are not trying to find your mistakes. They're here to listen to you. Your parents, your family, your friends' family, other guitarists, they all want to come and listen to you play the guitar. Okay? So that's something I really think is important for all the students as they get on stage more often. I think that's a little small practice you can do on your own as well. And banana helps. Eat banana.
Actually helps.
It helps, yeah. All right.
Okay, well, thank you so much.